episode 350. Just to say that it's really significant. Welcome, everyone. In today's show, the three messages are going to be Copilot, Copilot, and Copilot. And that's not to say it's related to Wave 2, but Daniel, stop me now. Please stop me. Copilot pages available in your tenants. Yeah, we'll talk about that. There is some changes to Copilot in Windows. That's going to get interesting. And Microsoft Outlook using Copilot as a new compose experience. Thank you, courtesy of our live stream message sorting people for choosing that one and getting under Daniel's skin. This is episode 350.
This episode is not just Copilot, people. So stick around. If you're tired of Copilot, stick around. We got more than Copilot. If you're not tired of Copilot and you want to hear more, well, stick around too, because we do have Copilot. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 350. Daryl he does not like to celebrate. He hates celebrations.
Yeah.
He's a fuddy-duddy. However, 350, people. 350. That's pretty cool, I think. Thank you so much for watching and listening and supporting us. It really helps. Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. What also would help is if you take a link to this audio podcast, if you're listening on audio platforms, wherever you find your podcast, or you're watching on YouTube, take a link of this, the link to this episode, paste it into any social platform, and tag us at 365MCS and share it that you're watching and listening. We'd greatly appreciate that. Our people watching the show and listening has grown and continues to grow, and that's really the only way we get any support out of this, is just to see that more people are getting help from it. So greatly appreciate you doing that.
So there's two other things, Daniel, I'd want to encourage people to do. That if you are an audio podcast listener, one, play it in your car when you are going on long trips with your family so that they're aware of all the messages. And two, if you do ride the train or a bus or some form of public transport, just turn off those earphones and play it loudly through your phone to be that person on public transport so everyone knows what's happening in the message center. Thank you.
Okay, don't do that. All right. Let's get to our first message, shall we? And it's mine.
Yes.
And it's not Copilot. So there. Microsoft Viva Engage. Create posts, communities, etc. with the new centralized Create New button. MC890889 That was an interesting number. So before this rollout, and it even says this, I'm not reading it, but whoever wrote this did a great job. Before this rollout, if you wanted to create something Engage, you had to go to a particular kind of place to create it. There was different locations. Now there's going to be a place to create new. That's the button name over on the left-hand side, to where you can create anything that you have permission to create. So if that's a post or a community, you can create a community straight from there, campaign, event. And this is very similar to what we found, I think, and maybe, Daryl, you even put the thought in my brain about this, but on the live sorting show. But this is what we do in SharePoint now, right? Remember, it was to create a library, you had to go back in my day. You had to go to the site content and then create one from there. Now you can go to, create a library or a page or whatever, all in one button. Well, same thing here now for Viva Engage. So we're going to, as I mentioned, post like a discussion, question, etc. Different types of posts. Community. And we can do those. Remember, it doesn't have to be in a community. It can be on our own storyline. Post, community, event, campaign. We can all do that. We can do it straight away from there. And it respects your permissions. This is kind of cool. So if you're not able to create a community, for instance, your organization has only certain people can do that or whatever, then maybe your create new button will just be for, create a post. So instead of saying, create new, it'll be new post, because that's what, you have permissions to do. I think that's pretty cool. This is supposed to be a quick mention, Daryl, so I'm keeping it quick. Do you have any thoughts on this? Great.
No, I'm going to help you keep it quick.
I like that. Do you have any thoughts? Great. I'm glad you don't. General availability worldwide. Early October, rolling out 2024, and expected to be completed by mid-November. Okay, Daryl. You started off this show with Copilot. Which
did.
It very much made me think about Steve Ballmer and his developers talk. So I was waiting for you to kind of be like up there, like Copilot. So tell us about your first Copilot. This is Copilot Pages.
Yeah, and I think you threw the challenge down to keep this short, so the timer starts now. Copilot Pages available and enabled in your tenant. This is MC890882. We did a video on it. Go watch it. The end. No, you want more? Okay.
Come on.
Copilot Pages. All right. Okay. Real quick. What is the feature? When you create a prompt and you get a response back from Copilot, sometimes it's useful and you want to copy and paste it somewhere or share it with people. Well, now you'll be able to send it to a Copilot page and then bring people into that page to collaborate on those results. The page is powered by Microsoft Loop, and it's going to be useful. It is coming to your tenants soon. As I said, there is a video that Daniel and I did discussing a couple of the questions, like where is the page stored and how do we access that page later. We cover all of those details, and I'll put a link that probably popped over the top of us at the top here, so that you can click through and see that 8-minute discussion. Daniel, do you have any thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. You don't have any thoughts?
None at all.
No thoughts
My
at
brain
all.
is empty.
Okay. How about where's the screenshot in this message? That would have been nice.
Okay, that would have been nice.
Usually you say that at some point during a show, so I thought I'd offer that up.
There's going to be another one here coming soon. So
okay. Well, I mean, in terms of timing, this was announced as it's available now. No, it's not. It's rolling out now. But it should be there soon. And lots of details around how to get to it, how to use it, and that it will even be available to people using Copilot in the free space, that it will create these pages for you too. So Daniel, let me think on my feet, come up with a really good segue for this next one. I've got a list of a few things I would like to say to link them to this, but maybe I'll just hand it over to you, and you can fill in what is missing.
Okay. Microsoft SharePoint, because there's other SharePoints out there, and Microsoft Teams, again, update on new Microsoft list rollout, MC891238.
How many times can you say Microsoft?
Right, so many. So this is a kind of a harken back to when Microsoft updated the list experience. There was some issues with bringing along some lists that had additional functionality. So, okay, what are we talking about? The additional functionality I'm talking about for or updating the list is things like when you're you can add ratings, you can have drag and drop, like pages, images on the list. You can see who's collaborating with you on the list, like you see their name, their little circle button thing. I don't know what they call that, by the way.
Presence.
What is that?
Avatar? Like presence. You're present in that document, that list.
Yeah. So those kind of functionality, well, they couldn't bring those to certain lists that had additional functionality, such as, and it's in the bullet list down in this message, SharePoint Framework, or SPFX, command extensions. If you had customized the form for that list in Power Apps, couldn't bring that experience to you, or if the list had approvals. Now, with this update, it will work. They are bringing that new experience with those additional functionality to those lists that have approvals or have that Power Apps form, etc. They are not going to bring it to the ones that have SPFX field customizers on them, to those lists. And they're not going to bring it to those lists that are playlist for Microsoft Stream. And I read this or interpreted this incorrectly before, which was, oh, wow, they're going to get rid of, they're not going to allow you to do SPFX field customizers, and they're not going to allow you to have a playlist template for Stream. That's not true. It is just that this rollout does not include those lists that are of those types. So this is a story of a girl. Sorry. I don't know. That song just came into my head. The general availability worldwide, GCC High, and DoD be rolling out late September 2024 and going through late October of 2024. Daryl, we are going to switch. We've done 3 kind of quick messages, as we call them here on the show. I'd like to slow down a little bit and do a standard message. And I want you to hear my voice and see my face when I'm asking you to make this a standard length message, please.
Okay. Yeah, I like that segue. That worked. But I do want to go back to when you were singing earlier, and that perhaps we need to, get a voice biometric profile of that and recreate that. How would that be for you? If you're okay with that?
Nope.
No, okay. Message, Microsoft Teams. Users will exclusively control their voice and face data exports. This is MC890889. There's the ability in Teams environments, and some organizations are using this, to register your face, register your voice, so that you can be recognized in a Teams meeting that is being held in a meeting room. Now, when Daniel and I meet and we're coming in from, I'm signed into Teams, he's signed into Teams, it's very easy to identify who said what and point that out in transcripts and in recordings and the like, because we are coming from our own sources. It's just when it's that mixed environment where we're in a room and a camera needs to recognize that's Daniel over there at the head of the table, and there's Daryl there off to the side further down. You like that? I put you at the
I thought you were going to put me in the
table.
Corner. And I was going to say,
nobody puts Daniel in the corner.
Nobody puts baby in the corner. All right.
Similarly with voice isolation, if you've got a couple of mics on those larger tables, that the source, who is talking, it's about identifying and separating that, so you can get the value from transcripts, from even things like Copilot, to do that. Now, this message is about putting a regular person in control of being able to export their data. So you can, and you will be able to go to a corner in Teams in the settings, find the biometric information, you can download your profile. Now, I have to admit, I haven't chewed on this for very long to think about it, but that's fine. I could download my profile. What am I going to do with it? I'm in this organization. Where I would rather, Daniel, and this is just perspective-wise, be able to remove my profile if I am leaving that workspace. Yeah,
and you are. I mean, that's part of this. Users are going to be able to do that, and you'll see that in the second screenshot. But when I was thinking of when we can export it, well, can we import it? Give me an export, but what am I supposed to do with this? So that for me is the real question here is, what am I supposed, and you said that, what am I supposed to do with this? I export it.
I think we put it on a USB stick and we give it to you as part of your going away present.
Maybe.
Remember all those times, all of those meetings we had together? Well, here's your profile.
I mean, maybe this is maybe you can download it, if there was an import button, and maybe there is. Maybe I'm missing something here, but leave us a comment down below or on socials if I'm missing something here. But it's, maybe when I go to another organization and I have it on my USB, maybe I can upload it into Teams and I'm done. I don't need to retrain, Teams at my new place. I can just upload it in. I don't know.
Seems odd, doesn't it? Seems odd. But there it is. It's an option. Yeah, good point, Daniel. There is a screenshot there to show that you can remove either your voice profile or your face profile, or both, of course. So that's the right to be forgotten, I guess, which is kind of more important today, not so much from a EU GDPR kind of perspective, but also, do we want to allow our employers to recreate us when we're gone?
I don't.
Yeah. So that is... Well, that's another thing. Licensing your voice, Daniel, and your face. We could use you as a demo character for years to come.
I don't know if anybody would pay for that, though, so I don't know if
general availability?
Worldwide.
In GCC will begin... I got that right? I used your voice profile for that one. We'll begin rolling out mid-October 2024 and complete late October 2024. And another standard message, Daniel, this is something that we wanted to leave with you to talk through, because you keep hassling me about using a Mac, but I do use a Windows machine. Tell us about what's changing in the Copilot space for Windows and why that seems
You just read the message, read the title. Changes coming to the Copilot experience for Windows.
So tell us what it is.
MC890889 and MC890878. So there are two messages identical. One is from the Windows team, or it's tagged as Windows. The other one is M365 Copilot and M365 Suite. So in effect, and it's very interesting, the summary says, hey, we're bringing enterprise data protection at no cost to the Copilot experience in Windows. Cool. This was part of what was announced weeks ago on, when Satya as deemed this, hey, we're going to do security and do it right. And one of those things that was flowed from that down the line was that EDC, Enterprise Data Protection, was going to happen with Copilot. And so if you were logged in with your machine, with your Intra ID, then it was going to have those protections. Now, that's not really what this message is about, so I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I guess maybe that's what they wanted it to be about, and maybe that's why they're making this change, but that's not the meat of this. So this summary is, I'm sorry, but it's bad. I'll just go ahead and say it.
Which is why the Windows message doesn't have it.
Yeah. Well, it has it. It's just, it's not listed as... well, actually, it doesn't have that summary. You're right. So what they're doing, if all those people will remember, Microsoft threw a Copilot logo, button really, on the taskbar. And then they moved it, but it's still there. It's on our taskbar to where you can launch Copilot in Windows. Now it's sitting on my taskbar. It says pre on it, so it's still in preview for some reason. Well, they're actually removing it. They're going to remove it from Windows, but this is only for if you're logged in, as far as we can tell. If you're logged in with an Intra ID from your work or school, you're logged in with that, they're actually going to remove that from the taskbar. Now, you may ask, how do you access Copilot then?
How do you access Copilot, Daniel?
You open up the Microsoft 365 app in Windows.
Huh?
Now, you
What's
may
that?
be asked, Thank you, Daryl, because I was about to say, you may be asking what in the world
I'm in the
that?
role here, so I'm filling the role.
It is a pre-installed application that Microsoft puts on all Windows, and it's the account you're logged in. If you open that app, it gives you basically the same experience as if you went to Microsoft365.com. You know, that Office.com that's been, moved to a different URL experience. So it basically brings that as an app to your machine. So if you want to access Copilot while logged in with your Entra ID into Windows, then that is going to be the way you access it. You have to launch the M365 app and then experience Copilot as if you would if you went into a browser and went to Microsoft365.com, and then Copilot would be there. Now, there's some questions that we have.
Yeah.
Oh, Daryl does have a question. Yes.
And
yes.
I'll cue you up. I'll tee you up for this one. So there were these Copilot Plus. There was these Copilot Plus PCs that were launched recently, and I think there's some keyboards out there too that have a Copilot button.
Yeah.
On the keyboard.
Yep.
When I tap that, what's going to happen now, Dan? Because there's no Copilot panel in Windows that'll open up.
I thought that.
What's
I
happen?
honestly thought it was so silly seeing those keyboards with Copilot on, and I mean, there's some laptops that had Copilot keys on the keyboard, which is something like you can't really replace that.
The new Surfaces have them.
Yeah. What happens when you click that? I have no idea. They didn't mention anything in here. Maybe it's in one of these links. I didn't see it in any of the supporting documentation, but maybe. I have no idea. Knowing Microsoft, they'll probably launch the M365 app. That's going to be my guess, but there's a possibility it just won't work. You'll click it, you'll hit the key, and nothing will happen.
For enterprise and school customers only.
Correct.
It'll still likely work for consumers.
Likely, maybe. Because we don't know, because they didn't address that. Another key here is, and I think this is the reason a bigger part of this is, yes, enterprise data protection, yes, big deal. And I think that's part of what's happening here is because they're loading that app, which, it seems like to me is an app like the Microsoft List app, or, what we've had with Outlook, where it's the name of it is escaping me, of what a PWA,
yes, Progressive Web App.
Progressive Web App. So it seems like to me that instead of running it on your machine, you're basically running it with web calls. That's kind of what it seems. I don't know. So maybe that's why they're making this change to the M365 app. Anyway, but they're not going to pin the M365 app to your taskbar by default, like they did Copilot, no matter what. So if your organization says, yes, we actually made the setting so Copilot was pinned to the taskbar, they're going to remove it, even though you made that selection, because there is not going to be that thing to launch, and they're not going to put the M365 app on the taskbar to replace it. So you as an organization are going to have to be proactive to say, okay, they're removing the Copilot app, logo, and therefore you won't be able to launch it. So I'm going to have to proactively push the M365 app logo to my taskbar if I so choose, so my users can access it. And then you're going to have to train them that they have to do that additional step of I've clicked it, I've launched it. Before I click Copilot, it brought up the pane and I just start typing and going. Now I'm going to click the app and it loads. I have to wait. It's not instant. And then I click Copilot and then I keep going. I start going. So I wasn't a fan. We talked about this. We weren't a fan of this putting this Copilot logo there and whatever, but I'm not a fan of hiding it in the app. I'm sure there's some reasons, Daryl. I touched on one. Maybe it's the data protection, but I'm sure there's reasons. But this seems like a little bit of a regression, don't you think?
I do, yeah. It just where there was going to be all of this integration of Copilot with Windows into your experience. Look, seriously, there's Copilot everywhere. So even though it has been removed from where it was in Windows, it's going to be in Edge. It's going to be in various different applications you're using. So it'll still be there. Don't worry. But it's like that integration part of it. What is happening with it? Where is it going? Is it still, I think there's still even what was that one? The feature that took screenshots of your machine as well. That's still sitting now in kind of a preview state with the Windows insiders. So what's left with the Copilot integration on the machine? Now there's neural chips and various things underneath it that are going to do some of this processing locally. But if you're not accessing it using that panel, and there's this other feature that's sort of sitting in preview now again.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's happening, Microsoft? What's happening?
This is rolling out to managed PCs, starting with an optional non-security preview release, which means it's basically going to be available, but it's not something that Windows Update will say you need to have this. Basically, is what all that verbiage means. On September 24th of 2024. And then the following month will be a security update release on October 8th for Windows 11. And then the month later, so I'm assuming November, will be for Windows 10 PCs. Daryl, let's end today's show on a quick update about Outlook Copilot, of course. What are we getting an updated there for?
Everything, Daniel. Everything. But this update specifically is about the Compose experience within Outlook. So that is a MC890889, and when you wanted to compose a new message, you could trigger off Copilot, give it a prompt, it would come up with some words, and then you'd say, I love it, keep it, or discard it, or regenerate. And then there were some options underneath the button there. And so what's changing is that that experience, that embedded compose box inside your message is changing shape and exposing more of those options. It's going to get a little larger. Those options will now be available in a scroll kind of list where you can see not only keep it or discard it, retry, but you'll get some other suggestions about what you might want to do with that initial pass that Copilot has come up for you. Now, we know that the screenshot in the message is a render, it's a artist's impression, but it has a scroll bar down the side, and maybe they're indicating here that there are going to be a number of suggestions that you can pick from to go through. That's about it, but we thought we'd highlight that and honour the choice of our audience from the live message sorting session because they all wanted to hear it, and Daniel didn't. So here we go.
Yeah, well, that's all right. We love our listeners and watchers. Thank you so much for being here with us all these years. And I know we're not supposed to celebrate, these milestones, Daryl, but 350 is a nice round number. And thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And we love to see the chats. We'd love to see the comments. We'd love to see the social posts. Please keep them coming. It just warms our heart, and to know that we are having a small part in your organization, keeping up with change and helping your users out. I greatly appreciate it. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. So thank you so much, everyone, and join us next week for episode 351. Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.